מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי אלוהי אכסר, בנותש ירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינהלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במעגלי צדק, למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות, לא ירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי, דשנת בשם ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבת בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Cantor Schiffman began our service by reading Psalm 23 in the Hebrew, and now I ask for you to join me in reciting Psalm 23 in the English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Every Friday night, we have a tradition of singing praises to an incredible wife and mother, Eshet Chayil. What a woman of valor. Eshet Chayil miyimsa v'rachot mipnei mikra, batak bale bala v'shala lo yaksar. And it's very fitting to do that today for Joanne. What a precious find is a woman of valor. Her worth is far beyond rubies. Her husband puts his confidence in her and lacks no good thing. She is good to him, never bad, all the days of her life. She opens up her hand to the needy and extends her hand to the poor. She is clothed with strength and splendor. She looks to the future cheerfully. She opens her mouth with wisdom. Her tongue is guided by kindness. She oversees the activities of her household and never eats the bread of idleness. Her children come forward and bless her. Her husband praises her, saying, many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty vain, but a God-fearing woman is much to be praised. Extol her for the fruit of her hand, and wherever people gather, her deeds will forever speak her praise. Today we gather on a very bittersweet day, for we love Joanne so much, grateful for all that she has given to us, and yet it's very difficult to say goodbye. But today we gather to bring much praise, adoration, and tribute, sharing fond memories and incredible love for Joanne Caminer, a loving daughter, a loving wife, a loving sister, a loving mother, a loving bubby, a loving aunt, cousin, teacher, and friend. Every single year we read the Torah. We rejoice at its end, even though the final section details the death of our leader, Moses. Upon its completion, we joyously return to the beginning, start to read the Torah once again from its opening. Judaism teaches that our lives are like a book. Our actions and words are recorded. This week, Joanne left this world at the age of 76. She accomplished so much in her years. a life well lived, yet still too short. She shared so much joy and kindness with so many of us. The rabbis imagined Moses crying while writing the final chapters of the Torah telling of his death. And so it is for us today. Though her book is sealed with our tears, we must rejoice, for we have the opportunity to share Joanne's story from the beginning. We know that she is at peace now. Joanne leaves behind many in mourning, her life partner, her best friend, her husband of 52 years, Yulen, her two sons, Michael and Joel, her daughter-in-law, Ellen, the apples of her eye and diamonds in her crown, her two grandchildren, David and Gabriel, who made her life complete, becoming a bubby, her brothers and their wives who became sisters, Stuart and Ella, Fred and Linda, and all the nieces and nephews and cousins in the extended Osher and Caminer families. At this point, I'd like to call up Brother Fred, Joanne's brother Fred, to share words about his sister.
For those that don't know me, I'm Joanne's youngest brother, Fred. I want to thank all of you for being here today in her honor. We're here today to mourn the loss of a very special person who has touched each of us. Her time with us, measured in years, was far too short. Yet her time with us, measured in impact and import, brought us more than a lifetime of treasures. Many of you wrote notes and letters which Joanne listened to with joy and peacefulness over the last few weeks. Almost all of them noted, "I had a special relationship with Joanne." Imagine that, enough room in her heart to allow all of us to feel special when we interacted with her. She lived her life with grace and dignity, a role model of decency, kindness, and generosity that all of us can draw upon for the rest of our lives. While lesser men and women might have buckled to the hardships she confronted, Joanne brought resolve, patience, nurturance, persistence, and good humor. Joanne and Leonard showed up to bar mitzvahs, graduations, weddings, cancer walks, and yes, funerals. Whether it was timing her breast cancer treatment so she could be at her niece's bridal shower in New York City, or hitching a ride when traveling didn't come easy to make sure they were at a cousin's wedding in Charlevoix, she showed up. She never missed recognizing a birthday, a graduation, an anniversary. And by prioritizing families and friends over places and things, she taught us the importance of our own relationships, another gift. Joanne was the best child to her parents, Yetta and Sid. It wasn't even close, Stu, not even a fair fight. As the oldest child, she did all the right things. They were so proud of their daughter, and she so caring of them. She helped Leonard take care of his father, Max Caminer, who spent his last years in their home and was nurtured by her warmth. After our mom died, Joanne brought our father, Sid Osher, to Cleveland to Lyndhurst and made his last years pleasant and comfortable. And now she has joined them. Joanne didn't often discuss her spiritual beliefs with me, but when I saw her last, she quipped, "Now that I'm dying, I'm pretty sure there's an afterlife." Joanne was the best wife, devoted, loving partner and friend to an equally amazing man, Leonard. As an example, Joanne wasn't raised as a devout Jew, but in support of Leonard's beliefs, she kept a kosher home, though she couldn't resist complaining about the price of kosher meats. She even went to operas with him. Now that's devotion. They raised a family, instilled values, contributed to their community, and traveled the world together. And of course it was so. Joanne was always at Leonard's side, through too many cancer episodes to count, and 52 years of marriage. And he was there for her. And in her dying days, you could not have wished for a more attentive, loving, skilled, and devoted caregiver than her Leonard. For the love and care you showed our Joanne, not just in these last few weeks, but through her entire married life, I am forever grateful, Leonard. Joanne was the best mother. Healthy, feisty Michael, smaller, almost runty at the time, Joel. She loved each of you, and fully and unconditionally. And while you have traveled different paths, she was so proud of the fine men you have become. Michael, your devotion to David has its roots in your mother's devotion to you. And Joel, despite your inability to keep a job, your mom never doubted your talents. And your fine parenting also has her love at its core. In our weekly calls, the two of you were always at the top of her list, figuring out how to be most helpful and boasting of your accomplishments. Joanne was the best grandmother. David, now 18, was born with significant disabilities. Yet, drawing on all of her special education skills and her bottomless compassion, Joanne has been at your side, there to soothe your pain and cheer your first steps. And then came Gabriel, who can light up anyone's day, and certainly knew where his bubby switch was. Watching videos with Gabriel was one of her greatest joys. Joanne was the best sister to both Stuart and I. They were closer in age, but I had a special relationship with Joanne. My birth marked the onset of my mother's bipolar illness. She would be hospitalized for long periods of time. As a 12-year-old with all the hopes and dreams of any teenager, Joanne was thrust into the role of surrogate mother. She literally took care of me, raised me as a child, and has been there for me for my whole life. Never a complaint. She just did what was needed. Did it with style, did it with grace, did it to the best of her ability. Joanne was the best. Name it. Best aunt, best cousin, best sister-in-law, best mother-in-law, best friend. I didn't get to observe Joanne with her Shaker Heights grade school students, but we all know there's a bunch of 50-year-olds around here that are recalling her as their best teacher. And think about all the lives that she's touched and the minds that she's molded and the dreams she's inspired, and know that after this day of mourning, we will continue to be surrounded, embraced by the influence of her love. In a world that at times seems harsh and uncaring, Joanne's spirit is the antidote. We need more Joannes in our world. Joanne would not want her funeral to simply be about mourning. We need to celebrate her life. From my mother, she learned how to cook great meals, desserts, even better leftovers. From her father, she learned how to golf, sort of. Bridge, gardening, music, theater, those were her passions. Joanne had strong opinions and shared them readily. She always knew what to say. You might not agree at the time or like the advice, but it always came from a place of caring and concern and was usually spot on. She was an avid Cleveland sports fan. We got to spend time last month watching the Cavaliers march towards the finals. She cheered for all the great plays, all the great players, regardless of what team they were on. That's so Joanne. Several weeks from diagnosis to death, literally breathtaking. And yet, as Joanne reminded me in our last conversation, it's not the time dying that matters, but how you live your life. And to that, she reported no regrets and only the fondest memories of fun, friends, and family. Joanne always looked beautiful, inside and out, always so young and vibrant. When I think of Joanne, I'll think of her smile, her dimples, her laugh. Joanne, we will miss you, but never forget you. Amen.
And I'll read to you a tribute written by Ellen, Joanne's daughter-in-love and daughter-in-law. One of Joanne's passwords was a string of numbers and a string of letters. The letters were HIMOFG. When asked what HIMOFG stood for, Joanne said, "Happiness is making others feel good." That was her credo, and she lived it. She lived her life for others in ways large and small. Joanne said recently that she didn't understand casual friendships. That wasn't her style. She was a long-haul friend. This must have been apparent to Leonard on their very first date. He called after getting her number from a friend and carrying it in his wallet for 1 year. They went to dinner, and she ordered an appetizer and 2 entrees, one to take home to her roommate, also a teacher, also named Joanne. It was part of a pact between the 2 Joannes, that the one going on a date would always bring home food for the other, and part of Joanne's character, looking out for others at every opportunity. She was an incredible hostess who would never make 1 main course when 2 would do, never bake 2 desserts when she could bake 3. Joel used to say, "My mother has a cooking disorder." If she were coming to your house and she said she was bringing dessert, that meant she was bringing 3 desserts plated elegantly on a lucite tray with a doily, as well as cut fruit in a bowl painted to look like half a watermelon. She, plus a thoughtful hostess gift. Like most gift givers, she was an incredibly grateful and gracious gift recipient. One friend got her flowers 20-plus years ago, after Joanne had talked about a rough day with her ailing father. Remembers that Joanne not only wrote a thank you note, she took a picture of the bouquet, had it developed, and included it with that note. Joanne was a fabulous storyteller. Is it absolutely true that she not only hit a deer, but that it was an 8-point buck, and that it leapt clear over the hood of the car, and that it urinated on her windshield at the apex of its leap, as Joanne gripped the steering wheel in stunned disbelief? Perhaps her tale about how she and one of her 2 bridge groups entered through the open garage door of a friend's house in the village for a game, but found the house empty. They poked around the fridge, speculated that their absent hostess must have gone out on a grocery run. Was a classic along the line of Goldilocks even before its culmination, when the 3 of them are startled by a naked man, unknown to all, at the top of the stairs asking what they were doing there. It contains the hallmarks of all of her best stories: friends, self-deprecation, and a mention of Heinens. She wasn't afraid to repeat a story either. After hearing about how my parents had lived in Thailand during the Vietnam War in a house on stilts for the rainy season floods, Leonard turned to Joanne and said dryly, "Maybe now you'll stop complaining about the time we spent living in a 2-family home in Shaker." No. Joanne was a lifelong caregiver, thrust into that role in her teens when her mother, struggling with bipolar disorder, was too ill to care for the family. She cared for her father-in-law during his long decline, for her father during his, for Leonard from the time he was diagnosed with lymphoma about 25 years ago, and through a series of health challenges that included his pancreatic cancer, as well as for David for as long as she was physically able. She understood better than anyone the heroic level of care Mike, along with Lisa, has given to David, and what it cost him. She also knew it wouldn't have been possible without the help of Tasha and Andrea, and she had a deep and abiding appreciation and love for both of them. When she talked about hospice care, one of her first concerns was what dying at home might mean for her own caregivers. Leonard's last gift to her was the tender and compassionate care he gave her in her final weeks. As you think of ways to honor Joanne's memory, here's one. Invite some people you love over for dinner and serve them 3 desserts. Joanne led by example. She was a role model, a teacher, an inspiration, a great listener with wonderful intuition. She had the knack for speaking her mind and being helpful at the same time. Her help and advice were always insightful, always putting proper things in perspective, even when we couldn't. She brought people together, built a large circle of friends. She was tough. Life certainly wasn't easy for her, but she never shied away. She sacrificed for all those around her, putting career on hold, raising a family, caring for her father and father-in-law. Always organized with her checklists, driven and committed. She was fun, always filled with smiles and laughter. Beautiful on the inside and out, she lived for family. She was the matriarch of the Osher family, raising so many of them, acting as mom and sister. She was known as Saint Joanne. She took her role in the family seriously. She set the gold standard for all of you. If she has taught her grandchildren the most important lesson beginning at the age of 2, it's eat dessert first. Born and raised in Flint, Michigan, with a brief time spent in southern Illinois, Joanne graduated from the University of Michigan, came to Cleveland, hired into the Shaker school systems right out of school, which was unheard of at the time. She was a great teacher, had a teacher's personality. She, again, a great listener. She knew how to communicate with kids. She was patient. She could figure kids out, a knack for finding out what would work best for each individual student. Her students loved her. After working in elementary school, she got her certification in learning disabilities and working with special needs. So where does a girl from Flint, Michigan meet a boy from Grand Rapids? Cleveland, of course. You heard the story of how they met. There's one other thing that made Leonard fall in love with Joanne, not just that she ordered 2 entrees, but that she got a salad and she ate the onions that came with the salad. They were married back in Flint, Michigan, where she was from, on April 11th, 1965. And the story goes it was a beautiful wedding, but with a very short reception. That night, a tornado hit in Grand Rapids. So just after the salad course came out, all the Grand Rapids guests rushed to their cars and drove home to survey the damage, leaving a delicious kosher wedding feast to the few that remained. Together for more than 52 years, Joanne and Len enjoyed concerts and theater, eating out, getting together with their couple friends, traveling to Italy, to Israel, Palm Springs, Thailand, Vietnam, that 50th anniversary cruise to Costa Rica, and annual trips to Florida for some sunshine in the winter. You had a love affair, Len. At Joanne's 75th surprise party, you told her this: I wasn't at your birth, but I could have been if I rode my bicycle from Grand Rapids to Flint. You simply love being together, true partners till the end, as they say, in sickness and in health. The ultimate mother that we've already heard about, whether it was her advice, her love, her cooking, her parenting, her teaching and caring, she built her 2 sons, Michael and Joel, to be the men and fathers that they are today. But Joanne was also the neighborhood mom. All the kids knew her. She always made sure everyone was fed in the neighborhood, and when it was dinner time, she'd take out her cowbell. She would ring her cowbell, and the boys would come home from playing clean up for dinner, ready for the feast that she always had prepared for you. And of course, every meal ended with dessert. I really should have started my marks with the most important role in Joanne's life, Bubby, as you heard. First to David with undivided love, understanding, and compassion. And then Gabriel with unbridled enthusiasm, enjoyment, and even a lot of spoiling. Whenever she'd see her boys, she'd crouch down beaming, put her arms wide open, and her dimples would be glowing. With David and his challenges, Joanne was Joanne, a Bubby who quickly found a special nonverbal communication with her eldest grandchild. He'd roll over, and she knew that meant it was back rub time. She always knew what he wanted and what he was thinking. Both grandchildren knew how to get what they wanted from Bubby, and she was more than happy to oblige. She'd get down on the ground with both of them snuggling and playing. Joel shared with me that he is so thankful that Mom had the chance to get to know and love his son Gabriel. And Gabriel will always know and love his bubby. You heard she was active in Gathering Place and Reader's Theater, loved bridge, going to theater. She was fun and classy, a fabulous storyteller. She was famous for her traditional cooking: brisket, flunkin, matzo ball soup, dill pickles, chocolate chip cookies, apple pie. She was a food pusher, and she never made anything the same twice. She loved hosting family meals. She was the family organizer, always having her yellow pad and calendar at the ready. She kept a busy schedule, making sure she and Len had their time with each of their friends. You would be booked out for months at a time, and Michael credits his organizational style to his mom. Len, you've taken care of your beloved Joanne with the love that she also gave to you through your own health challenges. You gave her compassionate care. You were a true loving partner to the end. With the boys always there, you all gave Mom so much. You rallied around her. You showed her extreme devotion and care, with the wonderful care she also received from Western Reserve Hospice and Janet. You gave her dignity, granted her the ability to be home. She had been waiting and planning for the end. It was inevitable that she'd die from this horrible disease. But while her last battle was short, she got longer than she ever imagined to be with you. Joanne left an imprint, made an impact and a difference in the lives of all that she touched, and we're all the better for knowing her and loving her. We can surely say that Joanne knew that you loved her so much, and you should all know how much she loved you. She was brave and tough. She lived for all of you. We can say now that she is at peace. She's suffering no more. May her name always be an inspiration and a blessing. Tehi Zichrono Baruch, and we say, Amen. We'll rise now for the memorial prayer, the El Malei Rachamim.
El Malei Rachamim, Shochein Bameromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, B'malot Kadoshim V'Tohorim, Gezohar Harakim Azirim, Et Nishmat Shena Leah Bat Shima V'Yanta, She'alecha Le'olama, B'Gan Eden Tehei Menuchatam. Anam Balarachamim, Astirei Besedek Nafech Le'olamim, Utzeror B'tzeror HaChayim Et Nishmatam, Adonai Hu Nachalatam, V'tanuach B'shalom Al Mishkava, V'nomar Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure, to the soul of Shana Leah, of Joanne Caminer, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May she merit the reward for living a life filled with kindness, love, and righteousness. May she rest in peace, and we say, Amen. Please be seated. Following the service, interment will take place at Chesterland Memorial Park. Family will be observing Shiva at the home, 24760 Albert Lane in Beechwood, Ohio, for the week, Sunday through Thursday in the evenings. The family will be receiving friends in the evenings, Sunday through Thursday, 6:30 to 9 p.m., and there will be a minyan each night, Sunday through Thursday night, at 7 p.m. at the house. Those who wish to contribute in memory of Joanne are asked to give to the gathering place. May the all-loving and compassionate God bring you comfort and Joanne peace. May your memories remain in all of our hearts forever. And we say, Amen.